Hello people, I am JABY KOAY, joined by Rebecca the Barter Bartlett. That's her actual name. On her birth certificate it says Barter. DDPRD, the official trailer, is what we're going to be looking at with Ajay Devgn, Tabu, Rakul, Preet, Singh, and Jimmy Shergill. It didn't say that initially in the title, but then like I looked at the comments real quick and it said that Jimmy Shergill is one of the most underrated actors. I am inclined to agree. Now, if you don't know already, I got to interview him a while back and you can see that interview where he sat where Rebecca's sitting. She bartered for that stool. There'll be a link in the description. There'll be a button at the end of this video if you want to check that out. It's one of my most favorite memories. So here we go. Let's check this out. DDPRD, and apparently PR means love. Oh, a quick thank you to Rashi Mudalkar for being amazing, beautiful, funny, creative, and doing the subtitles.
और तो बिना बात के इंटेलेक्चुअलाइज कर रहा है. सिंपल सी बात है, लड़का लड़की मिले, दोनों ने फ्लर्ट किया, दोनों को अच्छा लगा.
I don't remember exactly, but I think I had fun last night.
Let me put that right. एक अमीर बुढ़ा और एक हॉट जवान बच्ची मिले. बच्ची को पैसा दिखा, बुढ़े को जवानी दिखी. और अब जो दोनों के पास नहीं है, उसे पाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
एक बात बताओ, एक बार सोने से प्यार हो जाता है?
सोने का तो पता नहीं, कई बार ना सोने से जरूर हो जाता है.
लाइन मार रहे हो.
Swag.
इतना परफॉर्मेंस प्रेशर मत डालो खुद पे. बड़े बुजुर्ग कहते हैं शौक उम्र देख के पालने चाहिए.
Oh my
लोगों
gosh.
के बुढ़ापे का सहारा उनके बच्चे होते हैं. उनके बच्चों की उम्र की बीवी नहीं.
यार मैं दुनिया का पहला आदमी नहीं है जो अपने से छोटी लड़की को डेट करने की सोच रहा है.
अच्छा तू बता कौन सक्सेसफुल रहा है?
माइकल डगलस और कैथरीन ज़ेटा-जोन्स, जॉर्ज क्लूनी और उसकी वाइफ सैफ और करीना.
Woody Allen.
Jessica,
Who the f are you here?
my daughter. मैं अपने घर नहीं आ सकता.
बिल्कुल आ सकता है, बस पूछ लिया करना.
पैर नहीं छुएगा. बोलने के बाद क्या फायदा.
Oh boy.
Aisha.
My ex-wife.
Dad, do you know how old Aisha is?
Good night.
Why didn't you tell me that your kids are my age?
I got separated 18 years ago. Ishan was 3, Ishika was 7. 7 plus 18, 25.
पता नहीं
I
लंदन
don't
में
even
क्या
understand the
होता है.
math.
यहाँ तो अपने से 20 साल बड़े बुजुर्गों को अंकल बोलते हैं.
आयशा हम कॉलेज में थे जब ये गाना आया था.
इतनी पुरानी है.
35 से एक दिन ज्यादा नहीं लगती है मंजू जी.
लगती है.
अशोरा 2 मिनट आ.
I didn't even realize that was Jimmy Shergill.
थैंक यू आयशा.
He probably just massaging her. I don't think anything actually happened.
Yeah.
It was like rubbing her shoulder or something innocuous.
Women,
You know.
they play those games.
Yeah. Who's it gonna end up with?
पता है आयशा, ये कार हमने शादी पे ली थी. इतने साल हो गए अब तक वैसी ही चल रही है.
But एक पॉइंट के बाद फीचर्स पुराने हो ही जाते हैं. बॉडी पुरानी हो जाती है, लुक्स पुराने हो जाते हैं, इंजन पुराना हो जाता है. नई का मजा ही अलग है.
पुरानी अपनी जगह है, नए के अपने फायदे हैं.
Nice try.
That's the first time I've seen that. It says edited and directed by the same person.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
A man after my heart, because I end up editing my own stuff most of the time. If I didn't have to, probably wouldn't. That says a lot about Aqib Ali. I'm not familiar with him, but that says a lot about his creative vision regarding this film. My interpretation, just seeing that, is he's very hands-on in terms of exactly how he wanted this to look.
Yeah, and carries that vision all the way through.
Right. Jimmy Shergill, he was the guy on the couch with the glasses. It went by in a flash. I didn't even realize it was him until it was over. And he looks so different. Those are the glasses he wore when he came over here. That's, at least, that's how he looked to me. But he looks so young. Usually he's got the salt and pepper look with his hair and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah, like he looks super young.
Yeah, I would have guessed like 30, 35 here. That's what he looks like in this still right here. Looks like 35.
I mean, he doesn't even look that old to me there. He
Even?
looks super young to me there.
Not salt and pepper though. Salt and pepper hair.
That's usually the look he would employ in movies. This is the first time I've seen Ajay Devgn do this kind of dry humor. and I really like it. First off, this story is just interesting. I haven't seen this come out of Bollywood yet. It's different as far as I'm concerned. I like the idea of like directly exploring this because this has been sort of this conversation that hasn't been necessarily addressed. A lot of films, both in America and in Bollywood, you'll have these guys who are like these much older superstars dating these much younger women.
Very common.
You know, Tom Cruise is a classic example of that, right? To have a film that's directly addressing this and talking about it is cool to me. Like, I like that they're actually exploring this. There's a whole litany of potential conundrums and awkward situations that could lead to stuff that's funny, in my opinion. And they showed you some of it here, and I really like it. Even that part where he's in bed and his son goes, "Do you know how old she is?" And he just goes, "Good night." Like, very dry. I love dry humor. Oftentimes I employ, it's so dry that people don't realize I'm joking. My dad would do the same thing. People wouldn't know that he's joking, but he was joking very sarcastically, very dry all the time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because you see often in films, they do play love interests without addressing the age thing. First thing that comes to mind is like Silver Linings Playbook, right? You've got Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. I'm pretty sure there's already like a 15-year age difference there. And they don't talk about it. It's played as normal. So actually when I first started watching this, I don't really think the male actor looks so much older than her at first, but then as it goes on and you see the other characters of other ages, I'm like, oh yeah, he is. But I'm kind of used to seeing that. So it's neat to have it addressed like this.
It's not just that, but he also looks good for his age. Ajay Devgn just looks really, really good.
And his ex-wife, so does she. She's beautiful.
I thought something else was coming out of your mouth for a second. I thought you were saying something like, so delicious.
She is delicious.
I was hearing what I wanted to hear. That's just what happened.
With the dialogue in your head coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear that. When she showed up on the screen, I was like, whoa, she's very, very pretty. That was my thought. I mean, everyone in this movie is pretty, so.
Yeah.
You were talking about how that kind of catfight sort of attitude of being very territorial, and she's like moaning when he's massaging her. I mean, I'm assuming he's massaging her, and so you get the wrong impression, and so the young lady gets upset as a result. It's crazy because with guys, it's more overt, territorial stuff. It's very, very obvious what's going on. Whereas women are very intelligent about it and cerebral. They're like mental terrorists. They mess with your mind.
Yep.
And when they do it to each other, that's the scariest thing.
I have a theory about that. I think that it's because if you go back to when we're mostly in patriarchal societies, right? Women didn't have the brute force that men had. They weren't allowed to enter the same arenas as men. So their power had to come from manipulation, if you think about it. It had to come from the mind games. They had to figure out how to be in the ringer in a different manner, right?
This is such a deep conversation.
It is, but I think it's bad. That's why when you have two women that go at it, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like, you can see the fear in his eyes in this trailer. It's great.
If you're going back all the way to like the hunter-gatherer stage of, you know, the human evolution, you had hunters and gatherers, right? And you had the women who were, I mean, from my understanding is women were staying at home tending the children. So you had to have mental fortitude to deal with that. I feel like naturally you're going to be more equipped to use your intellect as opposed to your brute force. So what you have here at the end of the ad that's very interesting is you have this guy who's caught between two women who are using their wit to combat each other, and he is not equipped to deal with it because he doesn't have the same thing. He's just kind of like winging it and trying to get by in this awkward situation, doing his best to come up with a response. It's a ship that's sinking. Like, and he's just trying to get it to land before it sinks.
I also find it interesting, too, that it's a fight between the two of them. It's almost as if they're ignoring him in some of the regard. Like, he's just the plaything, kind of.
That's often what happens.
He's just the rope in the middle of the tug of war. And it's interesting because I feel like there's one part where her anger is really well placed when she's like, why didn't you tell me that your kids are my age? And they throw him some nasty looks, but it's really the only time that their anger, at least in this trailer, is directed at him. Right. And then the rest of the time it's directed at each other. I just find that fascinating.
I feel like these kinds of relationships, I mean, this is a totally different topic. I feel like these kinds of relationships you're going to see more and more. I mean, at least in the States, you're going to see it more because what you're having is guys who are starting their careers later, who are figuring themselves out later in life. Women do. Like, they're figuring themselves out later in life. They're not really ready to settle down until later. I mean, obviously, this story's a little bit different because he's already been married with kids and all that stuff. In real life, you have a lot of guys who are not like settling down or whatever until into their 40s. I feel like this is going to be more commonplace and less of a a weird thing. For the time, it's enjoyable for entertainment. It's just funny to watch this awkward situation unfold. This is just something that's very easy to identify with rather, no matter what culture you're from. Like whether it's America, India, whatever, like I feel like everyone can sort of see what's going on here. The only thing that wouldn't be as international is the feet touching thing. Like you didn't know what that was, but that's a sign of respect. Like when you greet an elder, you're supposed to touch their feet. But this guy took it a step further and was like, what good is it if I had to tell you? I feel like both sides are understandable. Like as a Ajay Devgn, you're like, well, I should do that. And then he goes, well, you know, and then now that I said it, it's like, what good is it? And I feel that too. I feel both of those things. And you understand both circumstances, both perspectives in that instance. You can identify with both of them. Like you can see Ajay Devgn's endeavor there where he's just trying to be comfortable and accepted, and this guy doesn't want him to be because he thinks what he's doing is wrong. I get it.
It does make me curious too to see if, you know, the way his daughter greets him, I'm assuming then it was his mother and father. The way they all greet him, it makes me wonder, it's like, so is this all directly related to the fact that he's dating a younger woman? Or are there some skeletons in the closet, some things that have happened in this family beforehand, and the way they respect him or don't respect him and see him, and is bringing a younger girl home just adding on to that? Or is it fully based on the fact that he's dating a woman who's the age of his children?
I think it's the latter. I feel like there's enough meat there story-wise and comedy-wise that you don't really need anything else, for me anyway. But you might be right, there might be something deeper there that I haven't picked up on. This almost reminds me of, I mean, it's a totally different circumstance, but it reminds me of Dan in Real Life.
Oh yeah,
it was Steve Carell.
Real Life. I love that movie.
The most of that movie takes place inside of a house. I find that fascinating because there's a lot that they do within those parameters of, it's just this property. It's just like, maybe they go around in the town a little bit, but it's mostly at the house and activities around the house. And all these things, these circumstances come up. And I feel like the same thing will happen here where most of it's really just taking place in the house. To me, it's almost like a stage play, like a Shakespearean play, where so much is happening really fast with all these different wildly different characters in the same, you know, place, almost like a Big Brother episode.
Yeah, it adds that physical comedy onto the wits and the dialogue, that physical comedy of literally having these people who are at odds in an enclosed space where they have to be around each other. I love that.
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Be sure to check out Rebecca the Barter Bartlett on the social media. She will barter for your follow and your likes and your comments with smiles. I was trying to think of, what are you bartering with?
That's a great question. DM me.
With her blue eyes. She will look at you. You'll be mesmerized. So do subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, short films, vlogs, and interviews, and my interview with Jimmy Shergill, if you're interested in that. Yes, that's it. I am JABY KOAY. This is
Rebecca Bartlett.
Peace out.